The Baltic Sea. Sorry, there we see the Baltic Sea guys just in front of them. Not on track. Well, on track, but not in position. Hassel closed that gap down now to 4/10. I think he's going to try a similar move into turn one. It does seem to be the place he likes to strike. Ishmael getting a half decent exit round here. Oh, no, Hassel's off and into barrier. Massive damage, another big one. And tries to stay out of the way of Speedies. He's fish-tailing down the road. Good job, the engine's in the back of that car. Oh, that was a big one, that was. That's cost him a lot. He's going to be able to get round and get... Will he repair or will he just stay out, do you think? He's got 16 seconds behind him, but with over 15 minutes to go. Interesting. Right, anyway, let's see what action we have got elsewhere. Bad Omen's still on his own, but he has closed that gap down in front of him, but he is flashing on fuel and will have to pit at the end of this lap. Sorry about the coughing, guys. I don't know what it is. As Honor comes into the pits, he should promote Houdini Mayers up to 11th for the Baltic Sea boys in the GT. Pixel of Chaos pretty much in no man's land again with 18 seconds behind him and 54 in front. And even with Honor's pit stop, I don't think that'll be enough to bring him much closer. He's still going to have another 15 seconds, say, after the stop. But Mike at the front now, 15 seconds in front of Speed Hunter, who's got half a second penalty. And Randy has brought that gap down to 8.5 seconds already. Randy on the charge. That gap really coming down quickly. Speed Hunter with the damage. He has got the damage repaired. Or is it on light? If he has come in the pits, he hasn't changed his tyres, so he hasn't come in the pits. Look at them times. So the damage must be on light. But them tyres looking pretty worn. Oh, and he's starting to struggle for grip now. And another half-second penalty. And this time round as well. Oh, not Speed Hunter's day. Still running a good pace and in a good position. He should finish in at least third. Randy really eating into that lead with 1:39 dead last time round. His fastest lap of the race. And Felix went into the pits for his final time. Gap under 5 seconds now, 4.5. Speed Hunter will have to come in and change them tyres. Well, I don't think he's going to. He's going to try and go to the end. If not, I think he would have just come in. So a few more corners, that gap will be under 4 seconds. Who drives with me? I don't know anybody that's actually driving with VR at the moment. I do use VR, but I have unplugged it since. And the last time I had streamed was Wednesday. The VR only came out Wednesday, and I hadn't tried it prior to the race and still had the problem. And as far as I'm aware, nobody in the race was using VR, so I think it's just since the VR update was added that it does that. It kills the stream and changing thing until you pit with the car that you're following because you're stuck on one car. The only thing I can recommend for the second stream, guys, is if you can start with the person, try and lock onto the person that you think will pit first and stay with that person. But I'm not even sure if you can, so I don't know. It's going to be one of them. I suppose the guy that is going to pit first probably will be one of the first guys to leave, so just stay with them and fingers crossed it all works out well. Or perhaps next time I should put my VR on and see if that makes a difference. Not sure how streaming in VR would work. I don't think you can, but I think it would just be a normal screen and I'll be using it in cinema mode, which for 2 hours I think would be a waste of time. But Randy now half a second behind Speed Hunter. This is only a matter of time. That left front tyre nearly all red now. Randy going wide, but still managing to get a good exit there. Losing a little bit to Speed Hunter. But Speed Hunter struggling now through some of these left-handers. I think again it will be a turn one move if it's going to happen anytime soon. Oh, Randy going for an early move here around the inside. And absolutely nothing Speed Hunter can do with the lack of grip. And Randy up to second at the moment because he's kicking dirt everywhere. I don't think, reply to Roses, I don't think it actually causes to using VR, causes the problem. Per se, I had the issue the other day, and as far as I'm aware, nobody was in VR. It's just since the update, since they've added VR, it's just caused a bug. In the spectator mode, once the race starts, before the race, everything works perfectly. During qualifying, everything works perfectly. Start the race, you're stuck on front view, and you can't flick between any driver until they pit. And once it pits, it changes the view to cockpit view for that split second, and then you can flick between the drivers. Yeah, it's a pain. So if whoever's streaming other streams, try and pick the car that's going to pit first. I'm sure they will fix it in a future update. I just hope there's one pretty quickly. Hope that clears that up a little bit. Mike now nearly 20 seconds over Randy. And Randy slowly pulling away from Speed Hunter. Speed Hunter really is going to try and go to the end on them tyres, isn't he? I think he's going to have to, because he's only got 25 seconds behind him. So if he does pit, it's going to put him back to fourth. And I think he'd rather struggle than coming in third to hand over to his compadre in the pits. Ishmael up to fifth now. And should have plenty of fuel and tyres to keep him going to the end. Speedy up to 6 and past No Hassle. No Hassle has got damage after that incident with the barrier, as he's about to get lapped by Mike. And giving him plenty of room, letting Mike through. Nicely done, Mr. Hassle. Patrick Black only 12 seconds behind No Hassle now. That gap coming down as Felix 1 makes a move. Felix 1 with his fresh tyres and that. And No Hassle with that damage, and we still have 6 laps left. If he can be a couple of seconds a lap quicker, he could find himself in 7th place at the end of this. We will keep our eyes on that. I imagine Bad Omen is still in no man's land, 23 seconds behind him, in front of Houdini Myers, who Ariana only 2 seconds behind him now. And lapping some quick laps there for Honor in the last few laps. 1 minute 40 is on the mediums.
Sounds like there's been some pretty good action there in stint 1.
Yes, good afternoon. Yeah, it's been rather good so far.
Fantastic.
There's been a few incidents as well. Yes, welcome to the stream.
Yep, I figured out that it was on my end was the previous issue earlier, so apologies for that. But again, hello,
no problem.
Zokio for stint 2 here over on Nookshot Media, getting ready. I'll let PV close out this first stint that you've all been enjoying so much, and I'll see you for the second stint.
Excellent, we'll look forward to it. Beardy McBeard at the back now on his own, 14 seconds behind Pixel of Chaos. Who's running around with? Who's running around? That look like Speed Hunter. Oh no, it might have been Randy actually. Yeah, it was Randy. Just lapping Pixel of Chaos for the second time. At the front now, Mike 17.7 seconds in front of Randy. Lost a little bit of time to Randy in the last few laps because Randy banging out some really low 39s. And putting himself nearly 8 seconds in front of Speed Hunter. The gap between Speed Hunter and himself, 20 seconds between himself and SRT, so he cannot pit, but that tyre not looking good, but 4 laps to go. Can he force it across the line with no rubber? SRT, them softs going to be a little bit warm for the last lap, but should get him through quite easily. And with a 42-second lead over Ishmael, he could pit if he wanted to, but he wouldn't want to hand it over. Don't want to lose the time, do you, and hand it over to your teammate. Speedy only 1.3 seconds behind Ishmael now. And Speedy making his way back past No Hassle after the incident. This could be a good recovery. 5th place, not bad. If he can get past Ishmael. Ishmael's tyre's a little bit more worn, but not massively. But Speedy will definitely have a little bit more grip. What is the gap between 7 and 8 now? It's down to 4 seconds. And No Hassle losing a lot of time with that damage. Well, the damage obviously not on Mike because it is still there, so Speed Hunter must have gone in the pits and got that damage fixed and not changed tyres. I find that strange, but yep, that's just me. You can see Felix in the background then. In turns 5.8 seconds in front of Factory Black, who is just about to be lapped again by Randy. Gets out of the way nicely. Again, good job. Bad Omen still circulating on his own, but we have Ariana all over Houdini Myers now. The Baltic Sea guys having a good battle there. With the Barrier Racing. Let's just check back with Felix 1. It's 2 seconds now behind No Hassle. And what about Speedy? Is he half a second behind Ishmael? Oh, a little bit deep there and had to avoid hitting the back of Ishmael. But successfully done, lost himself a little bit of time, but I'm sure he'll soon claw it back. And when will we see a move get done? We'll quickly flip behind. Yep, that's under a second now between Felix and No Hassle. When will Speedy make a move? He does seem to have the benefit of that little bit more grip and a better drive down here. But Ishmael going defensive. And I think no Hassel could do it at the minute. Sorry, Speedy. Are we going to see another move into turn one? Can he get a good exit through here? Get the drive and the draft. No, it looks like Ishmael's got the exit, look. Moving out of the way, get him out of the toe. Got the gap coming down. I don't think it's going to be enough to get a move done into turn one. He's going to have to wait a bit longer. Hard on the brakes there, Speedy. As we see Felix want make a move on No Hassle. That damage costing him a lot of time and absolutely nothing he can do. There was also half a second penalty there for Honor, who has got Houdini Mars closing down quickly. But a bad lap on lap 64 from Houdini Mars made him 144. Well, there we see Speedy and Ishmael just behind them, or actually in front of them on track. Speedy now got the move done and pulling away. But 46 seconds behind SRT, so that's not going to happen. SRT flashing on fuel, but here we see Mike coming round to start his last lap. Flashing on fuel, hopefully he'll have enough to get there, but he has got 14 seconds, so I'm sure he can save a little bit if need be. He's already saving by the look of it, being 3 seconds off his own pace. His tyres aren't too bad, but the gap down to 14 seconds at the front, so Randy pushing on and Mike having to save a little bit of fuel. Let's help the GTSV boys close that gap to the lead. So we will stay with the leader for his final run of the day. Excellent stint from Mike, consistent, fast, clean. His team couldn't ask for any more. It will be the MRL boys in first place. Who will he be handing it over to? Should we have a look, shall we? Oh, will it be Nick? Or will it be Welshie? In he comes.
And we should be getting the first driver underway for stint 2, which should be R.A. Nick taking over the 44 car, if I'm not mistaken.
And as long as Nick can keep it on track, he has some serious pace. But we also see Randy Moore coming into the pits now.
It's as soon as the cars stop in their box that they're allowed to leave, all being monitored by the various stewards. Here we go. Nick's going to make a quick tyre change. And out the pits they go.
Randy Moore approaching the pit box and gets a standstill. And Speed Hunter making his approach. And SRT in as well. Well, these guys quite close. And the Speed Hunter stopped. SRT coming down pit lane. And he stopped. SRT, good. Speedy will be the next. Just coming into the last 2 turns and approaching New Holland for the last time before he enters the pits. Well, he won't go through New Holland. Yes, and he's in the pits. He's Speedy. And 2 seconds behind Ishmael.
More and more exiting the pits. Currently 4 on circuit at the moment. The rest of the field's still waiting.
CLR Speedy into the box and has stopped. So we should see the second full send team driver exiting anytime soon. Ishmael stopped. Felix 1 on his way into the pits for the Barrier guys. Oh, not the Barrier, that's the NLR guys. And stationary, no hassle in and stationary. Factory Black on his way in and stationary, so we are down to P10 at the moment, who is 40 seconds behind but on his last lap. We'll be coming into the pits any second now.
It seems a lot of the mid-pack are closer together. The leader seems to be lapping everyone up to around 5th place. So good work by them on the first stint.
Absolutely some good time, but them top 4 or 5 guys showing some really good pace. As Bad Omen comes in, next in after that will be RAA Honor. And he's stopped for the MRLB team. And RA Honor coming down pit lane now also, and Houdini Mayers. It's a lot closer than some of the endurance I've streamed recently.
Yeah, as Bonneville in the number 3 car serves a penalty for track limits. They're down in 9th at the moment from the Porsche.
And we have Pixel of Chaos in and Beardy McBeard.
That's odd. This car's numbered 3, but on the spotter's guide there's only a 1, a 2, and a 33. So either that's a typo or something like that. I'm guessing it's the 33 car for Team ART3.
I think I have got one sheet that, yes, it does say 33 on it, but yeah, I did notice it was 3 in the race, so yeah, I just went with it was Team 3.
Alright.
Well, Pixel Cars has stopped and Beardy McBeard has stopped. That should be everybody all out on their second stint. So congratulations all you stint 1 runners. Some good racing.
Yep, can confirm everyone has left the pits. On with stint 2.
I will end this stream here and I will join you very shortly.
Yeah, thank you very much, PB.
No problem at all. I'll catch you shortly. Good luck with the stream.
So hello everyone, welcome to the dark side of broadcasting, Nookshot Media. We are here live for the Catalunya 6 hours. We're doing stint 2 here today. I'm joined by a co-host, Lynx, who has made a return. Lynx, say hi.
Hello! Well, it seems like the last time I was on here was NES, which was ages ago now. Absolutely ages ago. But it's great to be back, and it's great to be commentating on something a bit bigger, a bit longer than an NES race.
Indeed, it's definitely a change. It's the longest event I think I've ever broadcasted, and I'm only doing a third of it. So, You and PB have definitely got your work cut out for that extra third stint as well. But here we are then. Current fastest lap of the race overall is held by RA Gecko Racer. They are in 4th at the moment, at least for this stint. It's the fastest. It's 140.355. As Nick was setting purple sectors. Another improvement there by Gecko Racer for the Race Asylum team. GTSB Taizai has a 0.5 second penalty for track limits, but they are in quite a no man's land at the moment. They've got a bit of a gap ahead and behind. There's yellow flags for someone up ahead. I'm not too sure who that was. Potentially Webson's. It was around that area. I'll see if anyone has damage. It doesn't seem like it. A lot of these guys choosing to get their medium stint out of the way early on. Interesting strategy. That's going for a bit longer run this time.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the gaps now. We've got Nick out 22 seconds ahead of the next car. So absolutely amazing job by that team over there. Absolutely amazing to get that number 44 car out and, well, basically breezed into the lead. But this is an endurance race, so absolutely anything could happen. But I've got to root them on a little bit because there is another Welsh person in that car for stint number 3.
Oh, fantastic. As Nick still setting purple sectors on these mediums, so that tells me that probably the majority of the field are going to be on the mediums at the moment. That gap is increasing between Nick and Taizai. It was around 20 seconds at the start of this, and it's gone up to 24, so definitely seems to be a pace advantage at the moment for that Nissan GTR of ATW Racing. Apologies, the two cars look very similar. This is the Team MRL car.
Yeah, both of them running, well, basically white liveries on the sides, so it's
so
really
white and red,
easy
white and orange.
Yeah, it's really easy to mix them up, but, well, there's actually 3 GTRs in this race, and to be honest, all 3 of them look really nice.
Indeed. Plenty of GTRs, plenty of Porsches as well. Interesting to also see Team ART entering with 3 separate cars. Definitely packing heat in that sense.
Yeah, they're going absolutely full send in this championship, and I see exactly why. It is such a nice, it's such a nice car to drive to begin with, and they've got such a big driver pool that they can afford to look into for championships exactly like this.
That they do. And the current closest battle on circuit, if I'm not mistaken, seems to be between 5th and 6th, between GLT Gemini and RA Rockzilla. Rockzilla has a 0.5 second penalty at the moment, but they are still quite close behind, trying to put the pressure on. It's fascinating seeing how, because of the different driver lineups, the speed between the cars will change drastically between Stint 1 and Stint 2. Some having faster drivers than their Stint 1 counterparts, and vice versa for Stint 2.
Yep, slightly further down we got RA Rockzilla, who's actually picked up a 0.5 second penalty.
Yep.
Which they've just now served.
Yep, and just noticed that Gemini has also picked up one, but that was not able to be served because it was only just got.
Yep, so that gap that's just formed between those 2 cars, that's going to be completely neutralised on the next lap.
I think it's going to be crucial to see if Rockzilla can get within the slipstream range. I think they're just outside of it. It's 0.9 seconds the gap at the moment between the two. But the GTR will be punching quite a large hole in the air ahead, so maybe it's a bit extended. Doesn't seem like it at the moment, though. We'll have to keep our eyes on that one, how that develops. has another 0.5 second penalty for Taizai. So a lot of these guys are still trying to find their rhythm at the moment. I'd imagine that they would have switched tyres as 8th and 9th, that's two teammates going side by side. Two of the ART cars, not to be confused with the Arrows Racing team. It's a different organisation.
Well, I can tell you one thing, that they might be teammates. They might be in different cars, but they might be in different cars under the same team. But at the end of the day, they're still fighting for positions. They're still fighting as their own separate entities. So it'll be up to bragging rights in that team after this race.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm wondering though, because it seems that Bonneville has sort of checked out a little bit, whether that was a scripted pass. They may be in a party chat themselves as a team. We'll have to see how this develops, as Taizai about to serve a penalty and Bonneville about to unlap themselves from that other Porsche. As Rockzilla has indeed managed to get ahead of Gemini. So that penalty has definitely cost them. Wind speed is a bit higher than it was in the first lobby. It's currently 4.8 meters a second. It's still in the same kind of direction though, so slight crosswind going into turn 1 that could unsettle some of these cars, especially the more mid-engine ones, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I imagine that'll be a massive issue going to Repsol as well, because you've got a tailwind on you, so you're gonna have to. You're gonna definitely have to slow down a bit earlier to actually make that corner properly.
Gaps seemingly getting a bit close between 3rd and 4th as well. 6.7 seconds between Gecko Racer and you.
Further down, I've just noticed that Frederick has a 0.5 second penalty. Probably a little bit of corner cutting, a little bit of going wide on one of the turns.
Yep, Frederick making their way down the start-finish straight. They really are in no man's land at the moment. 43 seconds for the car ahead, 42 to the one behind. But at least they've got clean air, and that can be very good in terms of stretching out a stint. Good for tyre life as well. So it could play out to their advantage, remains to be seen.
Well, it's definitely a good place to be in, especially with that Porsche. You can just focus on driving the car, let everyone else make the mistakes and get close to them.
Definitely. Look a bit further down, we have Hansa in 11th. Closest gap for them is the car behind, Mika, who is 8 seconds back and seemingly closing in a bit.
Yeah, there's a bit of a gap forming between the ART car behind him as well.
Yes.
Doing a really good job of muscling that Ford around the track. Despite the fact that he said himself he hasn't raced for about 1.5 years, so he's really pulling his weight and getting that team up where it arguably could be.
Indeed, Webson's is in that one car, and he is closing in on Mika through this middle section. Mika goes a bit wide through Repsol, rather. W's and R's. Goes a bit defensive into the following corner. And now Webson's is all over the back of him. Might even make a move now going into Worth. Mika makes a mistake, lets him by.
Ooh, there's definitely something going on between these two cars. This is the kind of racing we 100% want to be seeing. As I'm just looking at the chat, Amigos Racing Team, ART, their media has said themselves there's no team orders and they are free to race. So what we were seeing with the gap was just purely driver skill.
Well, we'll have to see how that develops, especially going into the third stint, as far away as that is at the minute. The Porsches should be quite strong throughout the middle sector of the lap, whereas the Nissans and the Mercedes should have an advantage on the straights. I know the Mercedes tends to be a pretty decent car for acceleration and traction, a bit similar to Porsches in real life in that sense.
Well, I tell you what, the Race Asylum team with Gecko in the car at the moment, they're absolutely loving it down by there. They might be in fourth, but they're still on the lead lap, which is absolutely amazing for them.
Yeah, I think quite a few people are in the realms of potentially unlapping themselves as this develops, because a lot of the guys further back do seem to have pace.
I'm just noticing up the top as well that Taizai's got another 0.5 second pen, and that TCR car is probably going to close right up to them. It's only a gap of 9 seconds between the second and third right now, and then Gecko is only 6.3 seconds away from third.
Good spot. Indeed, Taizai, that is at least the third time that we've seen them with a penalty on the live stream, so they're clearly a bit frustrated at the moment, perhaps unable to close up to Nick, and falling down a little bit. Just needs to settle into that rhythm, as you do with endurance races. Again, just very tricky. Well, I was in a practice lobby the other day with some of these guys, and track limits was very tricky for me to maintain in a McLaren 650S, which is a very decent handling car. So
you absolutely love that car, don't you? just from the Challenge Series, I've seen that you've absolutely loved that car. And I gotta say, the livery on that looks amazing, but not quite as good as the livery on that Race Asylum car. I've got to say that's probably one of the most stylish liveries I think I've seen.
Oh, the comic book style one on the 17?
The comic book style, I absolutely love it. As a livery creator myself, I am in awe.
Fantastic livery work throughout everyone, I would say, on this field. It's fantastic to see.
Well, I tell you what I'd love to see on this field. I'd love to see a Dragon Motorsports car driving about.
That you would. I wouldn't mind seeing a Nuke Shot car at some point. But closest I suppose at the moment is GRT Creasy in the NLRX GRT. Very green Mercedes, green and black machine.
Well, I've got to say that car really is channeling quite a bit of AMG. Like I just associate that with the actual AMG brand when I see it. It's a great looking car.
Indeed, and they are closing in on Gemini. So Gemini, after losing a position to Rockzilla, could potentially be losing one to Creasy as well. Interesting though, looking at the clan tags in their usernames, both of them GRT members. So
this will be bragging rights back in GRT after this.
Indeed.
I'm just looking slightly further up the field. The battle between third and fourth is going even closer than before. It's now 4.2 seconds between Jupe and Gecko.
Yep, Gecko definitely seemed to be closing in. The lap times last time around for Jupe was a 42.2, so they must have made a mistake or served a penalty or something. Because it's been 1 minute 40s for these upper guys. So 141 last time for Jupe and 140.7 for Gecko Racer.
Tell you what, Gecko is on some kind of... He's on something different, and I want to know where he's had for breakfast. He is on something today. Just looking in the chat. Hello, SRT302. How are you? Welcome to the ERF Catalunya 6 hours.
Indeed. Welcome and hello to everyone in chat that has been joining us. 23 current viewers. That is by far and away a channel record, I'd say. So thank you all so much for tuning in for this second stint. This would have been on the ERF YouTube channel, but unfortunately we had some technical difficulties, so Nookshot Media stepping in for that.
Just having a look at who's got the fastest lap in this stint. Definitely Nick.
Yes, he's doing a very good job.
1:39.4 at the moment. That was his ninth proper lap after that pit stop.
And 10 laps into the race as well. Now I know they did have that in lap at the very start, so that's around 8 actual laps. But that's interesting to see. I think that's the newer shape GTR, so the weight distribution might be affecting its tyre wear a bit better than some of the others in the field.
Yeah, that GTR, the newer one's definitely going to have some kind of advantage, just because the old GTR was definitely hungry on the tyres.
And that is a penalty for Nick, just as we were talking about them, understeering off at Kampsa. We've got quite a buffer though, so they should be fine.
Yeah, they'll be serving there on the next lap.
Oh, just looking at the tyre wear difference between first and second, Taizai doing a lot better for the tyre wear. And the GTR of Yup, who was closing in, also looking a bit worse for wear. It's that front left that seems to really take a pounding here with some of these high-speed corners where you're leaning on it.
Yeah, tell you one thing, Yup isn't really enjoying the grip out of some of the corners. He seems to be sliding a little bit, might just be pushing, goes right behind him. But you don't want to be doing that, there's another 3.5 hours to go in this race.
Yep, and Gecko Racer continues to close in. 2.6 is the gap, 2.4 now. That closed down significantly. You making their way through the final section of the circuit. We are actually using the no chicane variant of Catalunya for this, something that you eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed. So a bit more flowing for the final section of the lap, but that is also going to put more pressure on that front left tyre, as one of the ART cars gets a lap back over Taizai, I believe that was.
Yeah, tell you one thing, Taizai's definitely lost a bit of time. Yup is 1.4 seconds from him now. So there's going to be quite a bit of a scuffle now, just for second place. That'll play to Nick's advantage out there in front.
Yes, second, third and fourth have definitely closed up throughout this stint. There's around 4 seconds separating all three of them at this point. 2 Porsches and a GTR. Taizai... Oh wait, sorry, that's a lap car again. So the ART of Wayno.
That's Wayno by there,
again.
yeah.
So
and
all
looking
three
further
different
down
cars
as well,
actually,
we've got Creasy and Bonneville right next to each other. 0.6 of a second next to each other now.
That they are. So Bonneville, who has actually made up quite a bit of ground on this stint of theirs, so they've done very well and will be well within slipstream range. But will that Porsche, which is more of a handling car, I'd say, the BOP changes recently may have changed that a little bit, will it be able to drag up past the Mercedes? It doesn't look quite like it, unless he's very brave on the brakes. Yep, stays behind for now.
That's a smart move, absolutely smart move.
Yeah, playing the long game here.
Tell you what, something could happen in the Repsol though. That gap is closing and closing and closing.
Bonneville to the inside, as through Renault the Mercedes seemed to understeer. Bonneville managed to get a fantastic cutback, and indeed through Repsol, very nicely done. The Porsche moves up a position.
Tell you what, ART is going to be absolutely loving that move.
Absolutely. Is that their highest placed car at the moment? I'm not too sure. I think it is.
I'm just having a quick look. Yes, it is. That's the number 3 car, which at the moment is the fastest ART car on the track.
As we've just had a disconnect for the Baltic Sea competition for GT, unfortunately. That is Mika. So I'm not too sure what happened there, just whether it was a disconnect or maybe the result of some kind of accident that we may have missed. Can't really speculate on much as Tizai gets another 0.5 second penalty, and Yoop is all over the back of them now, making their way through that third sector.
Yeah, that's definitely going to turn into a freeway battle for second now, going into the final sector of the track.
But the thing is, though, that Yoop now knows, because of that 0.5 second penalty, that they don't have to get past straight away, because Tizai is going to be a sitting duck when they get to the penalty zone. It will be a case of whether they try and make the move before Gecko Racer closes up on both of them.
Yeah, it'd be, in my opinion, it'd be smart to make the move now. Just get Gecko just stuck behind until that penalty
They might
goes
be
through.
going for it to the inside of turn 1. Oh, there's a bit of contact between them. The Porsche goes off, maintains the position.
Oh, that's another contact we'd like to see. As much as they're trying to rub past each other, trying to defend against each other, I mean, it's always going to happen.
To the inside again goes Yoop, and it looks like they get it done this time.
We just have confirmation from Mika. Everything has shut off. There's a bit of a power issue going on over there with that Ford team.
An electrical issue for the 45 car, unfortunate to hear.
Tell you what, I'd love to see them finish the race. Just somehow get the car back for stint 3 and just finish the race. It'd be a waste of energy otherwise.
I was going to say, we'll have to see what the organisers do with that. It's a tricky situation. Tizai serves the penalty, Gecko Racer easily goes by them, and Wayno also quite close behind, potentially looking to unlap themselves, can't quite yet.
Yeah, it's going to be a lovely battle now for second between Yoop and Gecko, though. As we've got Creasy in the pits.
Creasy in the pits, the first to make what I believe is a scheduled stop. They were on the mediums, like a lot of these guys. They'll probably be switching to the softs in this one. Look how worn out that front left is again. Practically on the rim.
I would like to be on that on that particular tyre right there.
Putting fuel in. Now another thing, it'll be interesting to see if they limit the fuel to keep the car light, or whether they just brim fill it. Indeed, they have decided to go for a bit of a lighter car for this stint. They're on mediums again. That's an interesting one. I believe mediums are only required once per driver, but that's if SEC rules are similar in that way. But perhaps this is just part of their strategy then. They're getting to a point where the softs just aren't viable for these longer runs.
I'm just checking the gap between Yoop and Gecko now. It's within is within about half a second. As Yoop goes really squirrely there. That's going to be absolutely amazing for Gecko with the Mercedes. Absolutely amazing on the straight. As Yoop has a 0.5 second penalty, that's going to promote Gecko up now by at least next lap.
Oh, you've got to be
into
kidding
second
me.
place.
Why did I do that? I thought there was a way that I could change the camera angle or something, and now it's gone back to this glitch.
Nuke Shot Media technical difficulties. You're just gonna have to wait it out for the next car to pit.
I was gonna say, at least we're towards the end of the pit sequence, or you know, coming towards when people are making their stops, rather. So
yeah, I can still have a look on my end as Yoop and Gecko's going to be going for the move. I know you can't see it on your screens. Yoop goes to the inside to protect Gecko on the outside. That Mercedes might just have to wait until Repsol. And going along now, Gecko and Yoop alongside going into the long right-hander. I have a funny feeling the Race Asylum car is going to be making a move into Repsol, and in fact they are side by side going into Repsol, and Gecko makes the move.
Stupid Gran Turismo 7 glitch thing. Apologies, this was something that happened on part 1 of the stream. This is all we can do at the moment, but we are currently watching Nick in I can't even quite see what number that car is at the moment. It is the
It's the number 44 car.
44. Yeah, I've just checked the spotter's guide. They've still probably got around a 50-second gap, maybe close to a minute or so by this stage.
I'm just looking further down as well. GRT Gemini has a 0.5-second penalty. That's going to be served on their next lap. And there's a 3.7 gap to Bonneville now, which is, of course, the... talking about Bonneville, going into the pits on 40% fuel and medium tyres.
They have front aero damage, is something I just noticed, so perhaps that was the final straw. But that front left, again, very cooked. Almost burnt, even.
Yeah, front left's taken an absolute beating today. Yeah, Gecko's pulling out a pretty nice gap on Duke now, only 1.6, but just remember... just remember that that car of Gecko was right down the end, right down in fifth, I believe, at the start of this stint. And Bonneville's in the pits as well. Seems like it's a pretty interesting strategy. As he comes out, the number 3 car is still... actually,
Yellow
no,
flag.
Wayno's the fastest ART
Someone
car.
has gone off up ahead. I'm not sure who.
Oh,
it was turn 3.
Taizai. It was Taizai.
Taizai? He was right at the sharp end of the order. No damage, but
It might have just been. It might have just got wide and got caught in that gravel trap.
I was going to say, there's a bit of AstroTurf that I clipped the other day through turn 3, right on the exit. It's right when you start accelerating, when you get towards the outside of the track. It's very easy to get caught out by that. I would not be surprised if they made
I'd just like to note
error.
that that's our number 44 car, currently in the lead. He's just coming out now from their pit stop, medium tyres, and only 79% fuel.
Yep, so
They're
again,
definitely
keeping the
running a
cars
bit
light
light.
as possible. It's still with a massive gap, and it does seem that the mediums are the way to go for pretty much everyone. It mustn't be like a mandatory thing.
I'm just noting now Wayno's into the pits, the number 2 ART car.
Yes, they were around 9th, I believe, and up 7th at the moment on pit sequence.
Yeah, Webson's in the pits as well, so we've got the number 2 and number 1 ART cars in the pits, 1 lap apart.
Yep, Webson's currently... What on earth? That was a weird camera glitch.
Pixel of Chaos, welcome to Nookshot Media, SRF Catalunya 6 hours. This is the second driver stint.
Yep. Again, unfortunately, we've lost one car. That was the Baltic Sea competition machine. They might be able to rejoin for stint 3. That remains for the organisers to say. But at the moment, it is Race Asylum Nick in that number 44 Nissan GTR of Team MRL that leads the way.
I'm gonna be honest. If it ends up going Gecko versus Nick, what's gonna happen between the Race Asylum guys if something happens here? Well, obviously Nick's part of the MRL team in the number 44, but they're still a part of the same faction.
Yeah. I think again it would be a case of like team orders out the window for that kind of a situation. But Gecko also hasn't pitted yet, which explains why that gap has come down quite significantly. So we're looking at around a 30-second or so hit delta, I'd say. So no wonder these guys are going for mediums and extended runs. As Ute goes into the pit, so they might be trying to get a bit of an undercut on Gecko up ahead, although that might be a bit tricky with the 0.5-second penalty.
I'm just pointing out now, down between 7th and 8th, it's a pretty good gap. The ART car might actually be making a move on the Mercedes here, on the number 0, and we might just see something in a T1. But we have seen that the more preferred turn to go into a move has been Repsol today.
Yeah, it seems the Mercedes just a bit unsettled going through turn 1. Again, I'm going to mention the wind as part of the commentary bit that I have with PB. crosswind, even more of a crosswind in terms of direction than it was earlier as well.
I'm just noting that ART car going side by side mid-corner. They were behind from the start of the corner, and they're now ahead and defending going into the next.
That was very similar to a move that we saw earlier on, I think, with the Porsche cutting back midway through Repsol.
Well, I wouldn't count anything out between these two. They've been pretty decent on the pace with each other. It only takes one move for Bonneville, and everything's out the window again with that number 3 ART.
There's Frederick into the pits in that team MRLB car, number 46, Porsche.
And Hans are in the pits as well. They were that number 42 Mercedes. Tell you what, that looks like a really nice car as well.
Yeah, can't quite see it yet. It's still yet to come down the pits, but from the preview image, I'd agree with that. Hashtag no bias.
Yeah, it's just something about green cars. Then again, mine are red. Well, they're red and peach now, they are. Used to be red and green or red and blue. Oops, sorry, not red and blue, red and white. A little bit of a rebrand for eProto, and I'm hoping to maybe get a sister team in that team as well.
Yeah, have to see how things develop. Again, mediums for Hansa in that number 42 Mercedes. And has everyone made their first round of pit stops at this point? I think that may be the case. Gemini, interestingly, on softs. I think they might be the only one doing that.
I'm just noting now,
hasn't pitted yet.
Tyzai has got another 0.5 second penalty. That's been quite a few penalties now, and we're only 22 laps into the stint.
Considering they were up to second towards the start of this particular stint, and now dropped to fourth, they need to definitely minimise these errors, because Roxilla, although again they need to make that pit stop, will eventually start chipping away at that gap. Also, Gecko still yet to make their pit stop, and that front left is very dead. They surely have to be in this time around. Indeed, they are.
Yeah, they're running into the pits this time round. They should just go out, by the looks of it, roughly 14 seconds ahead of Duke.
That is if the pit delta is to be trusted, because they lost around 8 seconds to Nick just by extending this particular stint. So
well,
it's just a guess.
That's something we're going to have to look, as Duke is being held up by one of the ART cars. I'm not quite sure which one yet.
It's the 9th place machine. Wayno, I believe.
Yeah, it's the number 2 ART.
But they'll give a slipstream on this start-finish straight. If there's one thing that the Nissan GTR loves, it is the straights on circuit.
Here you go. Gecko released out right now is margins upon
close.
Margins, and they're going to be side by side going into turn 1 by the looks.
I think Yup has it. Indeed they do. So the undercut has worked fantastically for Yup, and I think Gecko may have bitten off more than they can chew with that very extended first stint. Maybe they were trying to save a pit stop or something, as Wayno runs a bit wide, lets both of these guys go by.
See, that's the smart thing to do. Completely different stints, completely different laps. That's the best you can do, is let the faster guys through, so they don't end up running into the back of you and ruining your race.
Indeed. Apologies for the slight amount of netcode jumping that you see. I am running on Wi-Fi for this, mainly because the LAN cable connection seems to be intermittent. I essentially decided that it's better to have a bad connection than a good connection that occasionally just dies completely. So, there's that.
Tell you what, Jupe and Gecko right next to each other again. Not
yeah,
a move
I think
there.
Gecko
going
will be getting their tyres up to temperature now. You see the brake discs glowing red.
Oh, Jupe making a mistake. Gecko right by the side of them. They're basically side by side.
Yeah, I can't...
And anything could happen now into the final turn and into the start-finish straight.
Yeah, unfortunately I can't switch to bonnet cam, which is what I was trying to do the first time when the camera glitched. so unfortunately, no fancy onboards or anything of that
Ooh,
sort.
I saw Gecko went a bit wide there. I wouldn't be surprised if I see a penalty pop up soon.
It looks like he's
Just
just
slightly
got
off the
away with
track.
it. It looks like he
Well,
might be going for this move. He's got a bit of momentum. No, he backs out of it.
Might end up getting a move into Repsol again. Like I've been saying, it's an it seems to be the preferred place.
Rockzilla finally into the pits, meanwhile. Gecko can't quite get it done into Repsol, so they'll be sticking behind for quite a bit of this sector. I'd imagine the next proper overtaking zone will be Lacaisha, the hairpin just in sector 3.
Oh, I'm just seeing a bit of impediment by the number 1 ART car against Creasy, causing a penalty on that car as well. Just a bit further down on the grid between ART Websons in 11th, as well as Creasy in the number... apologies, in the number 0 car.
Right, I'm sure the stewards will have a look into this if it is reported. If there is any form of illegal blocking or whatever.
I'm not sure it's illegal blocking. I'm just sure that something happened between those two, because Creasy ended up off track at one point.
Can't quite tell if you ran wide at the second to last corner or whether that was just the bit of netcode lag that was going on, but yeah,
Either way,
I think they've managed to hold them off for this lap into turn 1.
I think the gap's sort of leveling out between the two now, between their tyre wears and the driver's skill. This is probably about the equilibrium point, I'd say.
Fifth and sixth, very close together still. Bonneville continuing their charge up the field, now very much closing in on Rockzilla. 1.2 seconds the gap between those two.
Yeah, obviously the Porsche are a bit more nimble in the corners. It's really good on tyre wear compared to the GTR as well. But the GTR is pretty fast when you get it up there. If you have the right setups and the right configurations on it, that GTR can do absolutely wonders.
I was just checking to see if it was the GTR that was on the softs that we saw earlier, but no, mediums for Rockzilla at this stage. They made their pit stop more recent than Bonneville, so their tyres are a bit fresher. And they are out of slipstream range, so good work there by Rockzilla. Bonneville has a bit extra work to do in order to break back in.
I'm just looking a little bit further down as well. Gemini seems to be closing the gap to Creasy. Whatever happened between that number 1 ART car, it seems to be closing the gap.
Indeed. 4.4 seconds and closing between 7th and 8th position at the moment.
Well, it's within a second between Bonneville and Rockzilla at the moment, going into Sector 2.
Yep, Car 3 looking very strong through these twisty sections. And again, perhaps into Lacaisha in the braking zone, they might be able to just get that advantage. They get a good exit. Not quite close enough for a lunge, I think, but perhaps just trying to unsettle Rockzilla. Could be difficult to do. Rockzilla rocks steady. Again, that Porsche, even in the dirty air, it's doing a fantastic job sticking with the Nissan in the corners. Oh, they've got a very nice bit of momentum here. A little bit of oversteer on the grass, that's killed that momentum, and the gravel as well. Oh, that potentially cost them an opportunity into turn 1 as a bit of a standing change for 3rd and 4th, indeed, side by side for 2nd place rather.
Oh, and the move's definitely being made here between Gecko and Jupe. They're still side by side, and Gecko just about makes it there. But anything could happen because they are literally within 0.1 of a second.
I was going to say, expect the GTR to gain right back up in the slipstream. Again, I'd do an onboard bonnet cam, but we don't have the facilities for that, big man.
There's two really good battles going on here between second and third, and then fifth and sixth. It's really hard to keep track of all these.
It now seems like Gecko, now that they've got past, they've managed to definitely check out. They're already out of slipstream range, 8/10 the gap between those now. So, fifth and sixth is going to be the closer battle to monitor, I'd say.
Let's see how the consistency goes between Gecko and Jupe, though. Because consistency seems to be the reason that they keep swapping places.
And Taizai, remember, they were in that battle as well. Now 18 seconds back.
And currently being lapped, currently in the process of being lapped by Nick.
Yeah, so Nick lapping everyone up to 4th place, pretty much at this stage. That is extremely impressive pace by the Team MRL entry.
Well, just remember, they might be in first now, but there's an entire other driver ready to go for the third stint, which will roughly be just over an hour's time.
Yeah, but the stints that the first two have done have definitely made the life of the third driver a lot easier. Remains to be seen though, as you say. Looks like Nick trying for the outside move. Taizai holding onto it for now. Nick trying with a bit of a cutback. And indeed does manage to get past. Taizai not fighting that one too hard, of course, with the blue flags
Looking
in
further
play.
down as well, Bonneville in 5th, Roxzilla in 6th. They are still battling there, 1 second between them.
Oh, so that pass has happened then, because Roxzilla was ahead. So 5th and 6th have indeed changed, and now that Bonneville has got ahead, again, with clean air, they've managed to pull a 1.4 second gap.
Yeah, so all of that was happening while we were looking at the battle between 2nd and 3rd.
I know, they could at least stagger the battles so we can watch both of them, just at different times.
Well, there is a battle going on between Creasy and Gemini within 0.6 of a second as well, between 7th and 8th.
Yes, that
between
also
the
close.
green Zero Mercedes and the number 11, I think it is yellow GTR as well.
Yep, number 11 that is.
And there is a move that's going into the hairpin. It is happening side by side on the exit. Creasy does go wide and Gemini does make the place. But will he keep it?
Yeah, it looked like Creasy ran a bit deep into Lakaisha and over that exit sausage curb, just couldn't quite put the power down on exit to stay alongside the GTR, managing to get ahead. And again, slipstream range broken. We know it's 0.7 of a second. The gap closer to 1 second.
Yeah, that Mercedes is definitely going to be upping the pace on those straights. Just remember, bring it back to 2 weeks ago, they were actually in the same car, in the same team, for the 4 hours of Nürburgring. Obviously, both of them GRT drivers, so it makes sense for them to be battling to see who's actually fastest, who wants the bragging rights.
I wouldn't be surprised either that, even though they are in different cars and technically different teams, that they are all in one party chat together, just as friends.
Yeah, just a sharing of information as friends, just having a bit of fun, and that's what this series is mainly going to be about. Just having a bit of an endurance race and talking to your teammates, talking to your friends, wherever it is, and obviously listening to the commentary that we have.
Yes, again, thank you very much everyone who is tuned in. 26 viewers currently. Be sure to like the stream if you are enjoying it. Consider subscribing if you are that way inclined as well. We do some stuff on this channel, believe it or not. It may have been years, but things are starting to kick back up again now that we're in the realms of live streaming. Also be sure to check out the Endurance Racing Federation YouTube channel, where we already had stint 1 of this and stint 3 to come. gap between
just
fifth and
looking
sixth
in,
is pretty much stabilised now at around 1.5 seconds. So Bonneville quite comfortable with the pace that they're running.
Yeah, I'm just looking at second and third again. Gap up to 2.5 seconds now, and Jupe with another 0.5 penalty. Seems to be getting a lot of those this race.
Yes, well, we've been seeing that for quite a lot of drivers, to be fair. Of course, just this won't help their particular case. Again, gotta be careful about falling into the clutches of Taizai and potentially Bonneville later in the stint, although they are even further back. Taizai, meanwhile, has actually crashed at the final corner on exit. Did they hit the inside wall? They've missed the pit entry if they've got damage. They have got damage. Front aero and front right suspension.
Oh, that's going to be an absolute nightmare for them. I know it's 42 seconds to Bonneville in that number 3 ART car, but the 68 is going to have to eke out an entire lap now.
They might choose to stay out and finish the stint. It depends on how much time they reckon they're going to lose and whether they think the car is uncontrollable to the point that they're going to make another mistake that'll cost them more time. But yeah, definitely not part of the plan for Taizai and that particular team. My guess is that they may have gotten the power too early through that final corner. Of course, you're approaching it with more speed than the layout with the chicane, and they might have just clipped the gravel, spun the car to the inside wall, and a really unfortunate part of the circuit to pick up that damage, because can't quite get into pit lane from there.
Yeah, they seem to be... they've lost quite a bit of time now, 10 seconds to Bonneville. So Bonneville is definitely jumping up into that number 4 position right now.
Yeah,
it's very unfortunate for
Taizai has to come in, surely, if they're losing this amount of time. They're running wide over
they've gone
the,
wide as well, yeah.
Chicane.
They sort of have to come in now.
Hairpin.
There's a chicane if you want it to be, it's bending.
There's a chicane after the Lakaisha hairpin, that's my excuse.
Yeah, let's just see what Taizai does. He's staying out.
Taizai's
staying out.
Yes, he is staying out. Good spot.
That's very interesting. Because you're gonna have to break in the damage. You're definitely gonna have to pit for that damage at some point.
He probably is just going to finish out the stint. He's about halfway on fuel. That's potentially a third of a way through a stint, depending on if they've only took, say, 75% of fuel, keeping the car lighter. The tyres are still quite fresh, so yeah, I'd say if he was further into a stint, then maybe he'd consider going into the pits. But at this stage, I'd doubt it. Bonneville continuing to chip away from that, and if they're watching the live stream, then they have the psychological advantage, as X-Matty G once said.
Well, I can tell you who definitely is watching the stream, and that is the media team for that ART team. So it's very likely that he now knows. You're very welcome, ART. Call anytime.
Not that we caused the incident, of course.
No, we're just giving the information to them, which they'll very much appreciate.
Hashtag bias.
Not like they have 2 other cars to do it.
But they do. Meanwhile, Gemini and Creasy, 3.3 seconds that gap. Remember, Gemini managed to get past them quite a while ago, but that seems to be around where the gap is staying. I wouldn't be surprised if Creasy comes in this time around. They've got blue flags for someone coming up to lap them. That's the second place car of Gecko Racer.
Just looking further down, car we haven't seen much of, just minding their own business, is that number 46 with Frederick. He's still doing pretty well down there. Might be in 10th, 4 minutes off the leader, but just remember who the leader is.
That's the thing.
Like, in terms of what has it been now? 3 hours in the race, exactly halfway through, and that car isn't actually doing too bad.
Indeed, chipping away. And remaining consistent. I know they have a 0.5 penalty, which might be a bit counterproductive, but
well, their lap times have been in the 40s, like the 42s and 43s pretty often. So
yeah,
really good, really
quite
good.
consistent with the 42s.
I tell you what, I'm loving the helmet that he's donning as well. That Valentino Rossi inspired helmet.
Creasy is indeed in the pits. I suspected that might be the case. They're low on fuel.
Oh, is 100% on fuel. He's come into the pits with 3%, so he kind of didn't have a choice there.
I'm sure that front left tyre will be putting in a complaint with management. The Michelin Pilot Sports get swapped out, and the green machine, that isn't a nuke shot car, is being fueled up once again. NLR X
The lesser
GRT,
green machine, hey?
00. Where do they
they're out on
rejoin? I
track
think
now,
they're in
and
quite a bit of clear air.
Oh, they're going to be absolutely loving that clear in that Mercedes.
Mediums again for them.
Oh, medium seems to be the preferred tyre. Softs are going to run out pretty fast, and hards just aren't on the pace we expect. Tell you one thing, I'm just noticing now that ART Websons has pit three times within about 8 laps.
Have they?
I'm just looking at their times now, and there's got a P next to the name.
I'd be very questionable about that, because on my screen there's only one time that has that, and it's another 141. All their laps recently have been 141.
Might have just been penalties then. My apologies for that.
It's probably just, again, Gran Turismo 7 and their timing being a little bit weird.
Tell you what is happening. Gemini's in the pits, switching up those softs.
Softs? So they, I believe,
Yokohama
might have been the
tyres
car
as
that
well.
was on softs before. In fact, yes, they would have been, because they haven't switched tyres yet. So Gemini in that GTR, bright yellow machine, reminds me of the old JDC Miller Motorsports machines in IMSA a few years ago. Bright yellow.
They're filling up their fuel now. Coming out, and I believe they've chosen softs again.
Yeah.
With 55% fuel.
So that's very interesting. They're keeping the car weight very low and choosing to run faster tyres. This is probably going to lead to them making one more stop than the rest of the field minimum. But perhaps this is just their way of trying to stay in the hunt. They're currently in 8th, and 10 seconds to the car behind, 13 to the car ahead. Looking a bit further up the order, as Bonneville's actually made a bit of a mistake clipping the gravel on exit of final corner.
Meanwhile, that gap between Taizai and Bonneville, just remember that Taizai does have some damage on that car, down to 14 seconds now.
Yeah, and the gap between Taizai and Yoop has now gone up to 54 seconds, so the damage has definitely been holding Taizai
Gecko's
back.
off! Gecko's off at the final turn! He's come back on, but that gap now between Joop and Gecko has gone back down again.
Yes, around 5 seconds. Fortunately, we just missed the off, but very good spot by you there. Lynx, thank you very much for that. And that's interesting, because Gecko does have better tyre wear compared to
It could
you.
have just been instability from the sausage curb. Everyone seems to be riding it on the final turn.
Or, dare I say it again, the crosswind. 4.3 meters a second. Entirely
it's
possible.
Yeah, that wind going mid-corner in that final sector is going to be pushing you absolutely ages.
That's the thing, it'll be a headwind going into the final corner, but on exit it becomes a side wind. So that's probably not the best of combinations, I'd imagine. Taizai does come into the pits. This is definitely earlier than planned, because they've still got a decent amount of fuel in the car, and the tyres aren't that bad. But they've
let's see how the
decided
gap
enough is enough, and the Maya Shanks
Oh,
style
Bonneville comes into the
pit
pits
crew.
as well to capitalise on that. Bonneville on 12% fuel as well, with a penalty. But just keep in now, how much time has actually been lost by Taizai to that number 3 car?
Yes, Rockzilla now up into 4th place, and they have not long ago made their pit stop, so that's 4th on merit at the moment. Taizai leads.
Taizai back on track.
They're about to be lapped by Gecko. Lets them by.
And there Gecko goes.
And Bon Evil now exiting the pits themselves. Looks like they got a bit of clear air. Wayno is around 30 or so seconds back. It's gone down to around 20 now.
Dropping to 20, the timing's just sort of catching up. It's actually stabilized around 11 seconds, 10 seconds.
8.
Which is going to be it's going to be even lower now when Bonneville takes that penalty.
Oh wait, no. I was looking at the wrong part of the screen. I was looking between the gap between Wayno and Gem Knight. Oh dear. But yeah, Bon Evil. Well, let's say the gap is probably going to go down to 8 seconds between Bon Evil and Wayno because of that 0.5 penalty. So I'm living a lap ahead of everyone here. Taizai down to 5th at this stage, but they have got that damage repaired, and that, I think, is going to give them a bit of peace of mind. Blue flags as Yoop is coming up to lap them, so 3rd place is about to lap 5th place. That shows the extent of the gaps towards the top of the field.
Well, I tell you one thing that's going to happen within this stint. I have a funny feeling that Nick's going to be lapping Gecko as well, so we will have lapped the entire field.
Let's just quickly see where they are at the moment on circuit. So Gecko is on the start-finish straight, and Nick is making their way through the second to last corner.
They're about 20 seconds away at this point.
Yes. Yes, I'd reckon that's about right in terms of the math.
I sort of hope so. I did an A-level in it. Admittedly didn't do well, but it happened.
Yoop and Gecko, 5.7 that gap. I think it is extending a bit because it was closer to 5.0. Continuing to scan the gaps between some of these people. Taizai and Bon Evil 10.8, and that was even after penalties have been served, so I guess my prediction for the future wasn't right after all. Bon Evil going past the Mercedes there. What team
I
was
think
that?
I saw Taizai going a bit wide out of T7 or 8, I believe. The one before the hairpin, I know that much. Taizai, I just saw him going a little bit wide, but no penalty on him. But he is going to be lapped by Jupe momentarily.
There's a couple close cars in the turn 3 area. Not too sure if they're fighting for position, but I'm quite interested
I don't
in
believe
finding
they
out who
are.
they are. Being lapped by 4th place machine. Frederick coming towards the end of a stint, it seems. The tyres...
Oh, no, there's been a massive issue on the final turn. I'm just trying to see who it is. But there was a yellow flag on that final...
Well,
he might have
Hamza
missed
is in the
pit
pits and they do
exit
have damage.
I think they missed the pit entry and went back in too. There were some massive yellow flags going on there. I don't know whether they hit the pit wall or not.
That's going to drop Hamza down to last place. They were towards the end of a stint, but they still had quite a bit of fuel left. Just looking to see if Nick was involved in that, because Nick also in the pits, our race leader. That could have been a very sketchy moment if the pit lane was blocked at some stage.
Yeah, we would have had to call pits closed in that case.
I'm not too sure about if there's a safety car procedure or anything like that here. I doubt it. It'd be quite chaotic.
Well, it'd
if
be
it was.
interesting to do, and if they needed a safety car driver,
well,
hello, I'm here.
There's a 3-second penalty for Hansa. That will no doubt be for the pit entry line track limit. That gives a bit of an indication.
I'm just trying to think. I'm not sure who was around there at the time, but I'm just wondering: did Hansa go backwards on the track to get into the pit lane after damage?
Maybe. It'd be something for the stewards to look at maybe on the replay, but I couldn't see that myself, unfortunately. Webson's in the pit. Normally when you go past the pit wall on the circuit, then if you try and reverse and go back into the pits, then it just resets you. But I'm
not sure what happened there. They might have just completely hit the pit wall while trying to go in.
And again,
Either
the only
way, they
person
did
that I
cut that
know
pit
would have been
entry.
around the same area was Nick, because Nick also came into the pits around the same time. More people in the pits now, as Wayno entering, and MJ Walter in the GRT machine. Which GRT machine is that?
It's a pretty clean looking livery. I do like that.
I just noticed the Easter Island heads on the back. That's a nice touch.
That's amazing.
Fantastic stuff. Oh, and the neon yellow mirrors as well. That's reminiscent almost of HTP Motorsport.
Oh,
very
there's a
close on
massive
pit
thing
exit.
going on there.
Were they merged
Oh,
inside
and
each other? There's
contact!
contact. There was contact there. MJ Walter rear aero damage. That was one of the that was the 9th place car, I think, of Wayno.
Oh, surely that can't have happened. That would have been completely on their ART car then. Completely on the ART car.
It depends. You might not have seen the full extent of things. We're not stewards, but it definitely wasn't the best of situations. And now,
Yeah, it looked like on my screen at least that they were almost side by side on the pit exit. We'll have to see on the replay for the stewards.
yeah, in chat, T17 has said they can't really say what happened because there was quite a bit of lag involved in that. I'd have to agree the same. Also, on pit exit, because of the being in auto drive, there's the potential for cars to ghost inside of each other. So
if
may
that's
have
what
played
happened,
into a
that's
point.
really unfortunate.
So MJ, wait, hold on a second. MJ Walter didn't even change tyres that time around. They fueled, but didn't take tyres. So they would have had to come into the pits anyway, despite the damage.
Oh, their front left is absolutely mutilated.
That's definitely one way to describe it. As into the pits does indeed come MJ Walter. Oh, this really hasn't gone well for them. And if they did change tyres, then they wouldn't have been in the position to have been hit. So, all this just really unfortunate circumstance.
I can
Could
tell
we
you
see
what
our
is
first ever
happening.
penalty for an unsafe release?
I can tell you what is happening right now. There is a really, really small gap between Bonneville and Taizai as one of the lap cars goes into the pits, and it's gonna be a massive drag race down to T1 here between the two Porsches.
Yes, Porsche on Porsche action. That's I believe MJ coming out of the pits in the background there. Bonneville looking to the inside.
Oh, what a move!
Very strong on the brakes as Taizai moves down to 6th place. Bonneville up into 5th. Fantastic work there by the ART driver.
And meanwhile, we have the number 7 in the pits.
Is that Yoop? Yep,
There is Yoop.
into the pits. Is this scheduled? It looks like it.
Yeah, they were running low on fuel, and they've gone out on the soft tyres with 52% fuel left.
They're going to have to make at least one more stop, I'd say. There's no way that they can take softs to that amount of laps, let alone the fuel. So they might be going for a soft and another soft stint. It depends. The gap at the front of the field between Nick and Gecko Racer. Although, again, Gecko Racer needing to make a pit stop, so that gap has indeed increased, but I was just going to say it's 42 seconds, and that was lower than what it was, but that is indeed just because Gecko Racer hasn't made a pit stop yet.
I can tell you what I think's going to happen next lap. I'm just looking at the tyre wear and fuel on Gecko. He's going to be pitting within the next lap.
Entirely possible. I think he's got the fuel to stay out for maybe 1 or 2 more.
But has he got the tyre wear? Is he going to brave that out?
Just looked at Newt served a penalty, so they've dropped back a little bit. Still with a comfortable gap over Rockzilla, and a pit stop in hand, I believe. Taizai.
Information that Mr. T17 has given us, and apparently when Gecko started the stint, he was over a minute behind the leader. So he's done really good to close up that gap.
There's a little bit of onion barges between Yoop and Creasy. That might just be the net code as the lappery occurred, but I was going through turn 3. Everyone seems to be okay. No damage on the Mercedes. It was quite minor contact, to be fair. Continuing to scan the gaps, 10th and 11th are very close on circuit. Frederick and Webson's.
Oh, this will be another nice Porsche battle to look at, and funnily enough, another ART car. Okay, I know that they've got 3 Porsches, but still. Oh, Frederick goes a bit wide over the sausage curb there. That's going to help the ART car a lot.
Definitely. It's probably, again, best opportunity is going to be trying to stay in the slipstream. You want to stay a bit further back to have the clean air through these final 2 corners, but again, not too far back that you end up not being able to make the pass. It looks like Webson's has had a very solid run through that final corner.
Whatever happened there, wherever that ART car did, they've gained.
It looks like it was launched out of a cannon. That was extremely impressive stuff by Webson's.
Tell you what, they're still pretty close together, and I wouldn't be surprised if we still see something if that number 1 makes a mistake.
I've just noticed that Frederick is having a bit of traction control interference, so that may have had an effect on their ability to get the power down on the straight.
I'm just looking at Gecko's fuel now. It's flashing red, so I think we will see him this lap.
Hansa on the softs at the moment. They're down in 12th place. MJ Walter on the mediums. They are very much right behind Taizai. And are they making the pass? It looks like they are. So MJ Walter managing to get past Taizai as Taizai goes off the circuit at Lukaisha. Going to check in on Gecko Racer. They stay out for 1 more. Now, this is going to be very close for them. Do they have enough in the tank to get around?
Well, I assume they're going to put the fuel down as much as possible to try and conserve, but that's no good when you consider that Jup is actually only just outside the pit delta window there.
I think
we might still see them battling each other after this pit stop.
The thing is you being on the softs, they've definitely got, and also the lower fuel, definitely got 1 more stop to do. I think Gecko is trying to make this upcoming stop their last.
I wouldn't be surprised to see them fuel up now for the last 40 minutes of their stint. Lap 44, just coming up lap 44, where going on to lap 45, they'll be, this should be their pit.
I was going to say, it's going to be close. It might be a case of, I don't know, a very short stint on softs at the end, but that would be quite impractical. They might be on completely dead tyres at the end. It remains to be seen. Gap to the front. There's a lot of 40-second gaps, 40-plus second gaps towards the front of the field. Continuing to scan a bit further down. closest gap seems to be between Webson's and Frederick still, but Webson's is now checked out and continuing to extend that gap, so no real battles at the moment. Gecko into the pits.
Yep, 2% fuel left. Cut it really close there.
So will be fresh rubber and a top-up of fuel for the Race Asylum driver.
Here's a good question though. Will the Finnish driver of Jupe actually pass him when Gecko's on the pit exit?
I
wouldn't be
don't
surprised to
think
see that.
so. And Jupe does have another 0.5 second penalty, so it'll be very tricky if that is the case.
Well, Gecko's filling up loads on his fuel now.
Actually, yeah, it's going to be close.
It's going to be a jump.
Jupe actually sets the fastest lap of the race there, 39.419. Is it going to be enough to get them by? I don't quite think it is.
Oh dear. With our lap traffic as well, I think that was the reason. They do get out of the way after quite a bit of light flash in there from Jupe. 0.8 of a second now between each other.
And also, looking at the fuel strategy, it seems Gecko on the softs, so they are going to make another stop after this. So Jupe and Gecko are pretty much synced up in terms of strategy at this stage. If we could have T17, if you're still in the chat, to quickly tell us if running the softs is a mandatory thing, like running the mediums was in the Speedy Endurance Championship, that would be much appreciated. Jupe is about to serve the 0.5 second penalty. That will definitely drop them further out slipstream range.
Yeah, it's a nice train of cars on that back straight, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with the lap cars there.
Yeah, they're coming up to a bit more traffic. That's Frederick in the Team MRLB machine.
I think Gecko might actually be blocked a little bit, not intentionally, obviously, but
that's the thing.
He's going to have the slipstream going onto the front straight.
This final sector is a very tricky place to get past a lap car, and yeah, the worst thing that you can do in that kind of situation is be unpredictable as the car being lapped. That is, you just want to stay predictable, make sure that you don't cause an incident.
Well, we're pretty close there, but Gecko does get ahead. And to answer your question, TK has said only mediums are mandatory. So
right, okay, so these guys are using
softs
because they want to then. Nothing part of mandatory strategy, as Jupe manages to get past Frederick. I think Frederick broke a bit early there, letting the Nissan GTR go by.
Yeah, what has happened though is Gecko has had a purple sector 1, might be on for the fastest lap of the race here.
Yeah.
Well, the fastest lap of the stint, I should be saying.
Yeah, Jupe currently has that fastest lap. That was because they were one of the few cars on the soft compound tyres. So these top guys, as they make the transition onto the softs, definitely will be upping the pace and running close, if not braking continually, that fastest lap. 0.2 seconds purple for Gecko Racer as they cross that Sector 2 marker.
I tell you what is happening, Rockzilla is going to be pitting this lap. Very low on fuel.
Yes,
so
that or one
I think
more.
It'll be the number 3S ART car goes back into 4th place.
Yes, no, these guys are definitely candidates for perhaps making it on one more stop. Would have saved a bit of time. I think we're at a stage where pretty much everyone can make it on one more stop.
Well, I know that Nick's already checked out. He looks absolutely fine.
Absolutely, we haven't seen much of Nick.
He might end up having a splash and dash. Those mediums look okay for the moment.
Yes, some of these guys might be limiting the fuel because they're counting back on the laps. Of course, this race doesn't end at lap 72. It ends at lap 71, I believe, because they go into the pits to hand over to the third stint drivers. Yeah,
I'm going to be rushing between
stuff by
commentary
Nick.
boxes at the end of this.
Looked like you may have ran a little bit wide into the gravel at Worth.
Oh, ran wide again.
Now, that's a particular area that you can see penalties get.
And he has got one.
Indeed.
A nice, fresh 0.5 penalty.
Continuing to scan through the order. Bonneville pretty much by themselves in sector 1 of the circuit, making their way through turn 3. Again, nice clear air. These are the kind of stints that is very easy to lose your focus when there's not another car around you, because it essentially becomes a time trial session that lasts an hour, 2 hours, however long, and you've really just got to maintain your concentration just to limit even minor mistakes that can start creeping in, whether it's the 0.5 penalties that we've been seeing for several cars with the track limits, or, you know, clipping the gravel, things like this. And for the most part, I'd say these guys have been doing a very solid job.
I tell you what is happening. Rockzilla is very, very low on fuel. I'd say that's about 2-3%. And his front left is absolutely mullered.
We keep having new descriptions each time we see a completely shot front left tyre. And keep them coming.
Well,
if you have suggestions in the chat, be sure to say. Hello to John Wandering, making his customary appearance, insulting me, of course. 30 viewers currently on stream. Thank you so much for tuning into this. It's fantastic to see. Again, another channel record.
Oh, here we go. Rockzilla 1% fuel. Oh boy.
Are we going to see any zeros before the end of this stint?
Oh, good question. I think
everyone's
we will.
Gonna play it relatively
I have a funny
safe,
feeling
you never know.
that someone will. I know Creasy's going to have to pit. His fuel's pretty low, and his front left is vegetated.
Now, how much fuel has Rockzilla put in? Yes, that looks about right in terms of going to the end from here.
Gemini in the pits, very, very low fuel. On soft tyres as well, shredded them.
Yeah, if they want to go to the end from here, I think they've got to choose mediums again.
Yeah, Creasy in the pits as well now. So those two are actually battling for position as well, so it'll be who takes the most fuel, who dares wins.
Yep, only 7 seconds the gap between them as they enter the pits. And the refueling speed is relatively slow, so definitely opportunity to make up a couple seconds if you short fuel.
I can tell you one thing, the number 2 ALT car has jumped both of the cars that are in the pits.
I just saw that pop up on the graphic. And
they look like they could be set, if they manage to fuel right, to go straight to the end of the stint.
I think it's going to be tricky for them. I really do.
Well, they could splash and dash, but then they would lose the positions. It'll be up to management here. They've got 14 seconds to the next car.
And what was we saying about making up time by limiting fuel?
Oh, they're right next to each other, wow.
Fantastic call.
Oh,
it looks like Creasy has managed to get used to the colder tyres.
I can see this happening a mile away.
Creasy
and there he goes. They're still side by side though. It's going to be side by side into the next turn as well. Nobody wants to give way here on the GTR.
Gemini outbroke himself
just
there.
Wide. Just a bit wide, and just a bit wide as well. Might see a penalty there.
Fantastic work by Creasy. Very good on cold tyres.
Oh, but does go off the track, and Gemini very squirrely as well. Creasy does get a penalty for going
Creasy
wide.
Won't serve it this time around. It was too close to the penalty zone. Now they've got to focus on getting that gap up between the two of them in order to make sure after that 0.5 that Gemini isn't in the slipstream range to benefit.
Yeah,
They're already doing a
1.5
good
second
job
gap
of it.
between the two of them now.
I think the key difference at the moment between those two cars is going to be the fuel weight. You see, Creasy has around a quarter of a tank less fuel on board than Gemini.
Gemini just playing it safe, and I really like that because he can just use full fuel map now and right to the end of the stint.
That's the thing. Gemini is going to be easy to the end, I think. Creasy is going to probably have to use mix 2 or 3. Or short shifting, or various other fuel saving methods are available.
Of course, completely agreeing with Average Driver in the chat. Nick has done an amazing job this stint, and he'll be handing it on to the other Welsh person in the ERF Championship.
Nick continuing to pound the laps out, and I think he's one of the few of the front runners that hasn't used the softs. Because you'd think if he was on the softs at some point, he would have set the fastest lap. The fastest lap currently held by Gecko Racer in second, 38.951. Is that the first 38 that we've seen? Quite possibly.
I'm gonna be honest, that might be. I can confirm that Average Driver in the chat is also that other Welsh person I was on about, so well done for me. I would be going on to do some Welsh, but I can't speak it too well, and I better end up mullering some pronunciations and making people confused.
That
is my job, though.
Going to be towards the end of their stint this time around in the number 7 Nissan GTR. They might do one more lap, but again, the tyres are dying, fuel's quite low. We didn't think they could go to the end, but one more stop and they should be good.
I reckon they could do 25. I reckon they could do 25 minutes on softs if they just go in again.
I think it's going to be very tricky. At least, again, going back to my time in practice yesterday in the McLaren, the softs lasted about 6 laps before they were very not healthy. That might just be a McLaren thing. I know that that particular car isn't the best for tyre life based on previous event experience. We still run it anyway, but...
Well, it is the best for showing off Mango Mobile and cash money. What can I say?
That it is. Green Machine, not here today unfortunately. Closest is GRT Creasy in the NLR X GRT. Just noticed on the spotter's guide there is an NLR X GRT and a GRT X NLR. So that's one way to get around
not confusing at all.
Team branding on the entry list. I mean, at least with Team ART they have their cars numbered 1, 2 and 3 and such. Team MRL with the A and B cars. The gap between Gecko and Yoop seems to have increased a bit, as Yoop still yet to pit, likely to this time around.
Tell you one car we haven't talked about in a while. Admittedly, they did have an electrical fault, but I'd love to see Baltic Sea Competition come back for this final stint.
That's the point.
Still no proper word from the race directors whether that car can come back on. But I would absolutely love to see it back.
I was going to say, if it does come back, I'd imagine it would have to be like last to leave the pits plus 10 seconds or something like that. Even then, it's a bit tricky to judge that kind of thing.
Yeah, it is. I'd still. Oh, we have got confirmation that that car is coming back, but it will have deductions.
And if I'm not mistaken, that should be Felix, otherwise known as Sniperator. You may have heard that name before on this channel. making their return to league racing.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt you here, but Rockzilla's just got past Taizai.
Yep, just cut to that. 5th and 6th at the moment. Two white and black machines. One Nissan, one Porsche.
Well, they're really close to each other, and they seem to be pretty decent on pace with each other as well, so I
And
wouldn't
that's
be surprised to
interesting,
see
because
that.
Taizai's towards the end of a stint. The tyres are, again, holding on, but not by much. Fingernails, probably, if tyres had fingernails. Fuel again. Tricky.
I'll tell you what, Nick's going to be passing them in a few minutes.
Still some of these guys yet to make their final stop. Creasy has recently, as has Gemini. Webson's has front aero damage. I'm not sure when that happened.
What I can tell you, though, is that Joop's come into the pits with literally no carcass on that front left.
I'm
All the way
just
down to the
thinking,
end.
there was an ART car that ran into the back of, was it MJ Walter earlier? I may have picked up the wrong one of those. It may have been, the car with front aero damage here, Webson's, that was involved in that.
It could be. If so, they've been running that for absolutely ages now.
So you fueling up. This should be their last stop. You were kidding about that front left being completely gone. 82% fuel. So if that's what they reckon they need to get to the end, then perhaps some of these guys that thought they were okay are a bit short.
Tell you what, Bonneval's going to have the same fate with our front left if he doesn't pit this lap.
Oh yeah, they've surely got to be in. They've got to respond.
Yeah, the number 3 is in. But it is a 29-second gap to Rockzilla as well, so I have a funny feeling they'll come around. They'll come out the pit around the same time.
I don't know, because of the amount of fuel needed to take up. I think Rockzilla will get past, but might need a splash towards the end.
Well, we have got 20 minutes to run, or approximately to run now, until the end of these drivers' stints. We will be seeing the Baltic Sea racing car back. They will be returning to the track after the last car has left the pit lane, and the appropriate action will be taken to calculate how many laps down it was after that electrical fault earlier in the race.
Yeah, so good to hear that they've got that electrical fault sorted out. As Bonneville's actually picked up a point, a 3-second penalty, not even 0.3. That will definitely be for cutting the entry line, so again, just a very unfortunate mistake. That's the second time that we've seen someone make the entry line mistake and get a penalty. It's done now, just focus on serving the penalty and getting back into a rhythm. What's happened?
Yeah, I've just noticed that penalty myself. I know that's a very delayed reaction, but that's not what that car wants to see. I know they'll be going to the end, so there might not be a position swap, but that's gonna be interesting for the time when they switch over to the next drivers.
Yep, they'll be coming up to the penalty line. Thankfully, Taizai is quite a way back from them. They see Nick in the background.
Yeah, Nick is looming. He's been there for absolutely ages. Hasn't been able to lap Gecko. So Gecko, along with the rest of the Race Asylum team, they're going to be, pretty simply, they're going to be hoping for TK to go pretty far into that final cell.
Yep. He will have 1:18 if things stay as they are to catch Nick, or the next driver in that particular car, rather. Yeah,
that'll be the Welsh person of C. Morris, as notified on the side of their car.
Yep, it's definitely a tall order, but we'll have to see. Bonneville and Rockzilla, 11.4 seconds gap between those two now, as Bonneville seemingly running a bit wide through that third turn. That may have just been the netcode again though, because no penalty issued. Someone's in the pits. I think that's someone outside the top 8.
That's Webson. That's 10th place. The number 1 ART.
Now, where will they come out around? Where is Frederick? Frederick goes by.
Frederick goes by. I think he'll keep 11th.
Frederick has picked up more damage at some point.
Oh, he's got front, rear, and suspension damage there. Something's happened between him and a lapped car. Well, a lapping car, I think. But something big has happened with that car, but they are soldiering on.
Yep. Gemini.
That MRLB car really needs to sort itself. But we have got one other driver, one other set of skills.
Race leader into the pits. Nick for Team MRL, the number 44 machine. Everything's been running like clockwork.
The gap between Gecko and Nick will be cut down, but Gecko does have to pit again as well. He's really low on fuel, and I know the common theme has been left front, but left front. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm eating rubber just by the amount of rubber that's flying off that tyre.
Nick has decided to go for the softs, so fastest lap attempt warning perhaps for this particular stint. We'll have to see. Bon Evil's actually currently the fastest lapper at the moment, which is quite surprising. They're down in 5th, 38.894.
Yeah, that's the second 138 that we've seen today. But they're currently on fire after that 3-second pen.
And purple
and they're
again
on
in
for another purple.
Gecko
they're going
in
to
the
be going
pits.
even faster. Quick hello to Sapphire Nils in the chat. Welcome to ERF Catalunya 6 hours.
Indeed. Thank you very much.
We will be swapping over to the official ERF stream though, very shortly.
Indeed.
For the final stint.
Mr. T17 in chat will hopefully provide details of that. Bon Evil does go even faster, 138.759 for them.
I have done really well now. They're going into the crunch time part of their stint. They've got plenty of fuel to get to the end, plenty of tyre life. It's just 15 minutes of eking it out now.
Yeah, these guys that are pitting now seem quite confident that they can get it done on a set of softs.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Gecko again going up and going a purple lap. He's been on fire today.
Yeah, they are on an outlap at the moment. Nick has, as I was just saying, started their first lap after their outlap on the softs. Wayno in the pits, that's more the ART Porsches.
Yeah,
Creasy
they've been jumped by Creasy now. Well, Creasy and Taizai.
I think a lot of these guys are going to have to make an extra stop and perhaps a shorter stint on softs or something.
There
I
we go.
think there's
Frederickson as
a bit of
well.
miscalculation.
Yeah, Frederickson as well now. Tyre life has been depleted, his fuel's been depleted, and he's hopefully going to get rid of that damage so we can just do these last few laps with some nice peace of mind.
Oh, second place is gone.
Oh dear.
That is major implications. Second place Gecko has disconnected. We don't know the reasons behind that, whether it was another electrical failure or an intentional. I'd be very surprised if it was an intentional disconnect, to be fair, given their second placing. That is a major blow to them.
That's very
and
unfortunate for Race Asylum.
That's gonna be interesting to see how that's dealt with also for the third stint, if that continues. Fastest lap of the race.
Yeah,
for Nick, indeed. Shot.
And he's about to lap the now second place of Jupe. After that, we haven't got full information on which issue it was, but it was some kind of technical or mechanical issue from that Race Asylum car.
Yep, hopefully we'll hear someone in chat give us some details on that. Again, if you are enjoying the stream, be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you like this kind of content. Will be it's mainly going to be on the ERF channel, the Endurance Racing Federation official YouTube channel, also for the final part of this race, if you want to check that out. But this channel also does its own thing on occasion, hosts some open lobbies and commentate over those, some stuff like that. So be sure to check that out as well. Coming into, I think, the last 10 laps of this particular stint, and no doubt good friend PB will be on his way back into the party chat. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Let's hope that he shows up. I'm not able to pull through the entire session by myself. My Wi-Fi wouldn't last for a start. You
so far holding on, but Nick is definitely in slipstream range at this point. Could you quickly check on the two cars going through towards Sector 3 now, on that sort of middle straight of the lap? That's
Gen 9 Hansa.
Gen 9 Hansa. Okay, so that's more lappery, I think, going on there. We'll stay with this for now, as Nick looks to make the move. Softs versus mediums seems quite straightforward, and Nick has managed to lap the entire field in this particular stint. Of course, their starting driver definitely helped with that, but again, fantastic drive by Nick. Not over just yet.
Yeah, a few more laps to go now.
Things
obviously
starting to wind down.
I'm not quite completely sure on the takeover regulations and stuff, but would I be right in saying that they go into the pits on the end of lap 71?
Yes, they go into the pits, and the driver in the Stint 3 lobby can only start, which is leave the pits on that race, when the driver on this race comes to a complete stop in their pit box. It isn't a case of when you enter straight away, you can go. You have to wait until they get to the pit box. We saw a penalty in the Speedy Endurance Championship for, was it the Soda Sport team, I think, at Nürburgring, for something like that with a changeover. So, again, you've got to be absolutely perfect on these changeovers, because you can gain and lose a lot of time. As we're coming towards the end of this particular stint, Bon Evil is definitely catching up to Rockzilla. Mediums versus softs yet again. I know it sounds complicated, John, but it functions correctly somewhat.
It's going to be as well as we can function with driver swaps in this game, because I highly doubt that Polyphony is going to be like, yeah, we're going to add it.
I mean, they do driver swaps at the live events, but that's when everyone's in person and they have rigs. Oh, what on earth happened there? It seemed... Is Rockzilla going slower than normal? No?
Rockzilla is going slow.
That was very strange. It looked like they slowed down mid-corner, maybe to stop Bon Evil from getting a slipstream run? It doesn't matter, because Bon Evil's on the inside anyway and gets the move done with relative ease. But
I tell
that
you where
was
it could
very
be.
odd from
It
the
could have been the mid-corner crosswind that got him off.
Yes, the crosswind. There we go. Once again, 3.9 meters a second. Now it's gone away just a little bit, but
It's
not
still
by
in
much.
that same direction, which is going to be. It has caught a few drivers out, I believe.
Barneyville running a bit wide on the grass there with 2 tyres. But yeah, at the very least, the crosswind hasn't changed direction much. It's been quite consistent for these guys throughout this, so they'll be grateful of that. Barneyville has got a 1 second gap now, thanks to those soft compound tyres, but that front left it's more than halfway gone, and we've got still quite a few laps to go. They might be losing pace towards the end of this stint, and Rockzilla might be able to catch back up on the mediums. Although those mediums are also not in the best of conditions.
Rockzilla had a massive tweak there.
That's the second time that we've seen Rockzilla have some kind of weirdness happen in recent laps. I'm wondering whether they're having a bit of a hardware issue.
I tell you what they can't do. They can't switch rigs mid-race. I
No,
remember
they're not
that happened
Simon
in one of the Le Mans virtuals, but I don't think we have the facilities for that big man.
Meanwhile, Creasy and Taizai, that gap just about 10 seconds.
I reckon there'll be more of a fight between the next drivers in the stints rather than this stint. Everyone will want to take it slightly easy. Then again, Creasy's tyres are actually, I'm gonna say bleeding. I'm not sure whether
and
I'll
the
need
fuel.
to make
Yeah, okay, so Creasy has definitely miscalculated this one. If they were trying to go to the end on this stint, because the fuel there, it's just gone to 10%. The warning lights just come on. They're definitely not going to be able to get to the end from here. So a short stint on the softs. Into the pits they go.
That's not what they wanted to do. 5 minutes before swap over. Meanwhile, we have got no issue reported from the 347 driver. So no issue reported at all.
The 347, which car's that?
That's the one we were saying that was having issues. That's
Team
Rockzilla's
RAJ.
car.
Yes. So that would be
no
Rockzilla.
issues reported, so it's something to do with traction, I think.
I see. Okay. Many thanks to the compliments we've been having throughout the stream. It's been an interesting time getting back into the swing of things here, as Creasy exits the pits now on a set of softs. They're in 8th. They might... It's going to be very tricky, but I don't quite think they're going to be able to catch Wayno. If anything, Wayno's got more of a chance of catching Gemini, I'd say. Still, the sort of mid to lower end of the field, it's still relatively compact, and as you mentioned, different drivers for this final stint could definitely play a part into closing those gaps up even further.
We've got people asking in the chat, what's happened to Gecko? Some kind of technical or mechanical issue during the race. Not what they wanted, I can tell you that much, but we will be seeing the car return in the final stint, hopefully, because they've not long retired. Yeah,
if the Baltic Sea cars managed to come back from an electrical issue, you'd think that the Race Asylum car would as well.
I'll show you. Just turn it off and off and back on again, right?
You'd assume it'd be that easy, but oh, was that someone's kicking up some grass? That's 12th place Frederick. They're just ahead of you at this particular stage. It might just be a little bit of netcode.
Yeah, that 46 car's had a bit of a problem recently, but they've soldiered through, and they'll be handing it over to the next driver within the next 9 laps.
Not long to go now in this particular stint. Nick?
Someone else asked, oh, it was John actually, how do the other stints deal with lapped cars?
Well, as far as I know, all the gaps pretty much stay the same, because everyone has to finish or get to lap 71, even if you are so many laps down, in order to get to the pits and then do the driver changeover. So cars will still be laps down. As for how many laps down in the case of the cars that have disconnected, that is going to be an interesting thing to see.
Yep, so I hope that answers your question, John. Nice to see you in the chat again. So, Bonneville and Roxilla, they've got a 6-second gap at the moment. Bonneville's tyres are all basically completely shredded already. They've miscalculated going onto the softs.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I was saying. The softs
there we go, they're in the
catch
pits.
you out with how quickly they were. And into the pits goes Bonneville. See, with fuel, I think they could just about make it. They might top off just a little bit extra while they're in the pits, just to make sure they don't have to mess around with any fuel saving. But yeah, this is not ideal for them. Could bring.
Who else have we got? Wayno and Gemini are within 2.2 seconds of each other. That'll be an interesting one going into the final stints.
No fuel for Bonneville.
They've got enough to last the next few laps. It's only about 5
Another
laps.
3 seconds for track limits. That'll be pit entry. Is that the second time we've seen that for that particular car?
I think it might be. Just cutting the red painted asphalt a bit too much. But I mean, you've got to go in when the markings are actually in. But you've got to actually keep yourself in the markings no matter what there. John wondering, just saying that he's never used the soft when he was racing. He was terrible on tyres and gym.
I actually remember you was more of like a medium runner back in some of the older leagues back on GT Sport. Preferred that sort of consistency over a stint. As our good friend PB has just joined the party chat, so he'll be getting ready to take over on the Endurance Racing Federation YouTube channel for Stint 3.
Yes, good afternoon again, guys. Great stream so far, lads.
Many thanks. Nick, currently on lap 68 of 71, not 72. I'm assuming that everything's going fine on your end.
Yeah, we're running slightly behind these guys, still on their outlap, about to come into the pits to wait for their handover, but they should be there within plenty of time.
Awesome stuff. Just see, even though it's quite cloudy here today at Catalunya, there's still a bit of heat haze coming off the cars. If we look down the start-finish straight.
Well, at least the rain's held off, that is one thing for these drivers.
Definitely. We've talked plenty about the crosswind. It's currently 3.9 meters a second.
Also, it has dropped a bit, the wind.
It has. It's northwest at the moment. Yoop has a 0.5 second penalty for that number 7 machine.
Just going to the end of his stint now. It won't be too much longer until he's handing it over to the next driver. Not quite sure who that next driver is, because I basically turned up on a whim. But yeah, the number 7 car will be switching over. Unfortunately, due to that issue with Gecko, we will be seeing that. We will be seeing the RA car slightly further behind than they arguably should have been.
It will be an interesting way to see if the next driver, who I believe is T17 himself, if he can find his way up the order in that last stint.
As long as Mr. T could not eat his tyres like he normally does, then he certainly has the pace.
And that's something again that we've been seeing a lot of here, is the tyres not lasting, especially the front left, as we've been constantly saying throughout this broadcast. It really has not been holding up well. It takes a massive beating.
But people seem to be able to manage on these tyres with next to nothing. They seem to have altered the grip levels again, so you can actually run them down to nothing and still get away with the lap, whereas in the old days it would have tried to kill you, most definitely.
Perhaps more so if it was a front. I'm just thinking, because front tyres will lead to understeer, so the rear tyres seem to be holding quite a bit better, so perhaps a little bit less sketchy on that front. Coming towards the end then, Nick, lap 70 of 71, so this and one more. Fantastic drive. We really can't sing the praises enough of Nick. It's been, they took over in the lead, and yeah, it might be, easy to say, well, they haven't really had to battle with anyone, they haven't really had to make their way through the field, compared to, say, like their teammate did in Stint 1 perhaps, but it's been just a fantastic display of consistency and again, just not making these kinds of mistakes we've seen from others, whether it's the pit lane lines being cut, the track limits in general, crashing. They had maybe a little bit of a scare when one of the cars went into the pit wall or somewhere around there, but everything seeming to be okay. They are on to the final lap of this particular stint.
So ready to hand it over to the Welsh great, who's sitting there ready, probably nerves building.
Well, not the only Welsh great that's in ERF, gotta be said. Might be a bit modest, but I find myself a great.
Great at being Welsh, if nothing else.
Oh dear.
Oh, dwi'n credu gyda.
Absolutely.
Oh, fantastic stuff. It seems that Nick has judged his tyres and fuel to pretty much perfection. They're looking very sharp, but managing to just about hold on, making their way through the middle sector now. Looking a bit further back, Yoop is currently 2 minutes and 3 seconds back, so that'll be their gap once the changeover happens. A minute and 9 seconds back from them is Rockzilla. Then Bon Evil, who is 12 seconds back from them. Taizai in 5th, who is 51 seconds back. Wayno in 6th, 22 seconds back. 8 seconds back from them is GLT Gemini, and very close behind. In fact, could be making an overtake right now in the closing stages. Indeed, Creasy and Gemini swap positions.
They've still got 2 laps to run now.
Yeah, they've still got a little bit of lappery to go as Nick is into the pits.
Yeah, so that's our first changeover into the pits now. He did gain a 0.5 second penalty, but that's not going to matter because it's going to be over to the Welsh great.
That's the point. How do penalties at the end of a stint, what, do they carry over?
I assume that there's no physical way of
there's no way of doing that, but maybe like the final standings.
Well, that'll be an interesting one, but
they've come to a
Nick
stop,
is in the pit now, so it is up to the Welsh great who does change their tyres, and they're going to be back out and on their way.
Yep, Welshie out already and on track.
Fantastic.
So we do have an issue with KSA. He has missed the pit lane by the look of it, so they will be probably having to serve a penalty, because I'm not sure how that will work because they're not in the pit lane, but maybe they will let that go.
It's a bit of a procedural error, I've got to say. It is unfortunate, but they'll probably end up causing a yellow flag out there for the guys in front as well. I'm just trying to see how far that car for the driver swap is. I can't remember what car number has caused that infraction. I think it's the number 42. But there will be a little bit of an issue there.
Meanwhile, still in this particular lobby for stint 2. MJ Walter and Frederick battling for 11th place. They are currently within a second of each other, and with several laps to go, that one might be a position yet to change.
Well, the number 7 coming around the final corner now. Well, the final few corners, I should be saying. That'll be a pretty easy handover for the number 7.
He'll be handing it over to Jaden Gaming, who's sitting there waiting. Good drive from Yupe.
Yeah, absolutely amazing drive from him. Managed to keep it up in the top positions quite a few times.
Yes, after Speed Hunter did lose a few places after a great first effort and then a little spin and a bit of damage. And Yupe bringing it back to second.
Yep, they're not quite stopped in their box yet. They are.
There we go,
now.
Just stop now.
And tyres are being changed. And Jaden Gaming will be on his way.
It'll be 1 minute and 10 seconds until Rockzilla is able to switch over as well.
Yep, so there's medium tyres for Jaden as well. So they're carrying on the same tyres as they were in the last stint. So that number 7 car is officially out for its final driver of the day. Next to come in will be Rockzilla, sporting the number 347 car. And they're just coming into the pits now.
Yep, the siren being triggered and the crew waiting for the upcoming driver change.
Bonneville also into the pits now. About 5 seconds apart from them.
Yeah, that's one of the closer gaps in this field between 3rd and 4th place, so definitely look out for that with the different drivers in the stint 3.
Here we go, so the 347 now in their pit box.
Raptor Race changing tyres. Nicely done between the two teams. That looks like a sharp change over there.
Yeah, and
Raptor Race.
Bonneville also stopped, so that car will be out very shortly as well. The number 3
right behind.
Now that gap was 5 seconds on this end. What was the gap on your end between 3 and 4?
Only 2 seconds now, so he's made 3 seconds on the changeover. If he hasn't changed his tyres, maybe, but he will be going out on cold tyres, which could be tricky. I didn't actually see, but Johnny Waffle out as well and in the wall
already.
Tyres just come in.
Oh.
I'm not sure he should have left. I think that's an accidental touch, isn't it? Randy Moore sitting there waiting to go as Tyzai enters.
Yeah, the changeover hasn't properly happened between Frederick and himself yet, so that's an interesting one. How that's gonna turn out, I haven't got a clue.
Tyzai
we have
has
got Tyzai in the pits and stopped.
Randy
that 68
Moore,
will be rolling
tyres
anytime.
And away.
Wayno and Creasy both very close together.
Oh, 7/10 between them. They might end up jumping each other in the driver changes.
Battle of the pit crews. Gem 9 now joining in with that. They're also in the pits, so up to 8th place. Wayno comes to a stop. Creasy also.
So that'll be Kyle Games Drums leaving the pits now in the ART2 car.
Gemini in the pits now. They have stopped.
Yeah, there's only a total of 4 cars left to actually come out on, to go into the pits on our end, and we will have 2 joining back from technical and electrical issues respectively.
Oh, did we lose another one? I knew we lose the Balkan guys.
Yeah, we managed to lose the RA team.
Oh no.
Yeah, they were in second at the time, with Gecko.
Oh, so Mr. T having to start from down the back. That's 2 races so far. I've seen that team have issues.
Webson's is in the pits now. That's one of the ART Porsches.
Yep, that'll be the ART1 boys. He'll be handing it over to ART Wooly.
And stop.
Number 1 car.
Yep.
Tyres changed. And away he goes. Another sharp change over there.
And Hansa going into the pits on our end as well. That will be the changeover for the number 27 GRT by someone else. I'm losing my mind with the many different acronyms in the names here.
Yes, GRT and NLR. He'll be handing it over to KSA00Y.
We've just had
No, that's the wrong one, is it? No, the other one.
we've just had someone say sorry to Nick in the
Yep,
chat here.
Gemini seems to have accidentally gone back on the track on our end.
As long as they don't complete the lap, that should be fine. Hansa stopped a while ago. MJ Walter in the pits as well.
Yep,
And,
it's just Frederick going into the pits now as well, and that will be the end of the changeover period.
And 42 has left the pits now. Slimmy Camp. Is it Slimmy or Slimy? It's double M, so I would have thought Slimmy, but I don't
Slimmy is
know
how
that.
I pronounce it as well, yes. Yeah, so
Yeah, that's
what I'd
the
go
Barrier Racing team. And nearly everybody on track now, so let's see how the actual gaps are this end. It's hard to calculate at the
Frederick
minute.
stopped. And that's everyone from Lobby 2.
Mr. T just leaving the pits. I say we know Gecko did have a good stint until we lost him. And then Mr. T with all the work to do. Obviously, 7 minutes is a big ask. Well, here we are now, Mr. Johnny Waffle leaving the pits also. It does appear we haven't got the Balkan guys here, though. They haven't made the start of this.
Oh,
So we
no.
do have no 4GT, unfortunately. So sorry to hear that, guys, and hope you can join the next one.
They might have ended up having another electrical issue trying to start the car. That's very unfortunate for them, or they just didn't get the memo that they could come back. Either way, it'll be nice to see them in the next race.
Alright, so that pretty much concludes my time on the live stream. Be sure to check out the ERF YouTube channel that I'm sure will be posted in the live chat for Stint 3. Be sure to check that out. Consider liking and subscribing to Nukeshot Media. We do the occasional thing on here, as I mentioned before. If you've enjoyed the stream, be sure to leave that like. And thanks again to everyone who has joined in for this second part of the stint. It's been a fantastic experience, I'd say. And I leave both Lynx and PV to take on that third and final stint. So from us here at Nukeshot Media, it is goodbye.
Yes, good job, mate, and thanks for that very much. Enjoyed the stream. So here we are now, the laps ticking off here. We are on lap 7 now, Welshie. We've started chucking some good laps out already, 140.8. I presume he's on the mediums. Let's have a quick look at that. Yes, I think a majority of them will be starting on the mediums, as you do have to use these. They are the only compulsory tyre in the event. Well, at the moment we still haven't got gaps around us yet. Until everybody completes one lap, then it normally kind of sorts itself out. But we can see Jaden is a lap down near enough on Welshie at the moment. And he's a minute in front of KSA00Y. Not even going to try and pronounce that. Raptor Racing fourth. Well, only 2 seconds behind him is ART Columba 27, is that? Yeah. Or is it a Coloom? I'm not sure. Is it a silent B? Who knows? Well, yeah, doing a good job there. 2 seconds behind on a personal best lap by 8/10. So that is definitely a gap to keep our eye on. Randy Moore in 6 at the moment. I expect to see big things from Randy. We know he's a quick guy who was at the front end of this in Stint 1.
Yeah,
making
so it's good to see the Race Asylum guys back. They're back after the technical issues. For anyone who's just joining the stream now for the final part, we have lost Baltic completely after their electrical issue in Stint 2.
Which is unfortunate. but there's not much we can do at the moment, I'm afraid.